everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is your Friday Focus. This is Kate Thompson, one of your principal brokers with Best Real Estate Company, and I am here with my favorite sidekick, Shanita Johnson.
Hello.
And today we just thought we would talk about a hodgepodge of things. I don't have necessarily a specific thing that I wanted to necessarily educate you on. I think I've given you a couple of kind of heavy messages here these last few weeks. I just really wanted people to be cognizant of, staying in their lane and trying to do things the right way, especially with all these changes that we have coming down the pike in terms of forms and things of that nature. I strongly urge you guys to be reading the industry news, especially as it relates to the NAR lawsuit settlements and the forms. That is for every state. I have it on pretty good authority that we are definitely going to have some form changes. And so I'm going to be doing everything that I can to be on the lookout for those things. I'll try to bring you as much information as I can about it, but it is very important for you and your business to be abreast of these things as they come about, because I am not going to be at your listing appointment. Shanita is not going to be at your buyer's appointment. And we probably are not going to be able to save you if you have a question that pops up, say on the weekend at 3:00. If y'all know me, I'm asleep. So at 3:00 on Saturday. So I just want to make sure that, everybody understands that it's just the best way to run your business, and the best way to keep yourself safe is just by staying abreast of things. And so, like I said, I have a hodgepodge of things that I want to talk to you about. Shanita has something she wants to say first.
Just going along with staying in the same vein, talking about the NAR settlement. Of course, we all know that we are required now to have a buyer's representation agreement, a signed buyer's agreement before we can show any properties, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that can be for a day, a weekend, for a specific property or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But along those same lines, one of the issues as far as related to compensation that has come up is VA buyers.
Mm-hmm.
And since this is Military Appreciation Month, we talked about VA loans and how VA buyers cannot pay their agent. But yesterday, Tuesday, the VA announced that they are putting a temporary hold on that rule, so now veterans can pay their agent. So if you were someone that was considering not working with veterans because you were afraid that a veteran buyer could not pay your compensation if it was not offered by the seller, the VA has dismissed that or temporarily lifted that hold until they can provide more language as it relates to VA buyers. So VA loans, working with veterans, is still a good thing to do.
It is. It's still a good thing to do. And, going along with that, I have been having this conversation quite extensively with other real estate professionals in the community, most of whom I have a great deal of respect for in terms of their knowledge and their expertise. And, sometimes we are emotional, I think, and we can believe things just based on our own personal experience. We don't necessarily look at data and things that could show us a different perspective. So when they came out with this whole, lawsuit, and they were saying, buyers were going to have to pay their agents, the blowback from a lot of us in the industry to protect buyers was immense, in my opinion. And I had so many people saying, "Oh, buyers aren't going to be able to pay, their agent. And I was very, well, I don't want to say very adamant, but I stood my ground. Wouldn't you say, Shanita? I've been standing my ground saying, y'all have it wrong. These people can pay for what they want to pay for.
Exactly.
Now, I am not in any way suggesting that every buyer is in the same situation and that they have the same resources and access to paying their agent. But it's a little bit better than what people have been led to believe, based on the lack of data that's been pushed visibly to the markets, and because I think of their own personal experience. Everybody wants to save money, right? So obviously, if I understand as a buyer that there is an opportunity for me to get down payment assistance, what am I gonna want?
And keep my money.
Right, because right, exactly. What does the wealthy tell you? They say getting wealth is not about how much money you make necessarily. It's not. Well, you do need to make money, but you also need to keep it.
Right.
So, in my studies and reading this week, I came across a very interesting article that actually came out from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And if y'all don't know, this is a government agency, a federal government agency. Their primary goal is to advocate for consumers and finance, whether they are buying a house, getting a credit card, whatever. And as you know, Shanita and I have said, I think through a couple of different podcast episodes, that this is an organization that you really should be focusing on if you want to learn different things about the industry and market. They have a lot of free resources. They have enough resources to help you put together a stellar home buyer education class and just financial literacy and just things of that nature.
All for free.
All for free, right. And they actually had an article that they produced on April 5th of this year, so a little bit more than a month ago, a couple months, where they did a survey. They did a study, and they issued a report finding that more borrowers paid discount points up front as overall interest rates rose. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can go out there and find it. But the increase, the number of people who paid those points up front were people who had a credit score of less than 640. Now, I showed this article to you, Shanita, and it says that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want everybody to know I can read English. And so from 2021 to 2023, the percentage of home buyers paying discount points actually doubled.
So post-pandemic, more people have the resources to buy down their interest rates. Meanwhile, their credit scores are under 640.
Right. As it says, 77% of all FHA buyers with credit scores below 640 purchase discount points. And if you guys remember from your real estate math or your real estate course, in order to buy down 1 point is usually about 1% of your purchase price. So let me just put that in perspective for you. If your client is buying a $200,000 house and they want to buy down 1 point, they're going to pay 1% of that, which is $2,000.
In addition to closing costs
and prepaids. So now I ask y'all to reevaluate your thought process, because according to our government, 77%, that's almost 8 out of 10 FHA home buyers, have the resources to pay down their points. They could pay your commission. And we've said in a couple of episodes that when we do, home buyer education, we say, date the rate, marry the house, date the rate. These people are paying down points because they don't believe that the rates are going to go down.
Right. and they're ready to move forward. So essentially, what the CFPB has found just in the past 2 years, that just because someone has an FHA loan, which is in itself stigmatized a lot in our industry, because we typically assume that people who have an FHA loan don't have money. That's number one. But what the CFPB has found that is that people who have FHA loans, who may have a credit score under 640 or below, they still have the resources, the means to buy down their points, which means they also have the means to pay their buyer's agent if compensation is not offered by the seller. So that puts the onus on us to have conversations with our buyers.
Yeah, you guys
honest
need
conversations.
Honest conversations. Alexa off. Honest conversations about where they are, which leads me to this. That same government agency, CFPB, also does a study to gauge people's financial well-being. And they have a whole questionnaire. I strongly urge everybody to go and fill it out. I filled it out myself, and I got my financial well-being score. I fall in line with most people in our country that's in the middle class. So that kind of made me feel happy. And so basically, this particular tool, I think you could use in two ways. One, it will give your buyer or seller the opportunity to really think themselves about what their financial outlook is, because of the questions that they ask. How do you feel about your money situation? And second of all, it can let you know, as the client's representative, how they feel. And then you can navigate and adjust your service to fit their needs. Sometimes we have people, like I was just telling Shanita, I have a client that he's got $40,000, $50,000 in the bank. He just doesn't want to spend it. Like, he's afraid to, but he keeps sending me houses that are above his buying price. Now, because he can afford it. Right. So this is something that he's afraid, I think, but if he answers some of these questions, then it might help push him, to a place where he might be willing to take more of a chance.
And I can see that the financial well-being toolkit as something that you can use alongside your buyer's consultation. When you're sitting down with the buyers and, okay, what do you what kind of house do you want? What, when you're having that consultation, asking them about the specifics of the house and what they're pre-approved for, what the lender said and all that, really, because when you start talking about the house, they're going to get emotional, right? They're going to, more often than not, get sidetracked by something they saw online and say, well, this is what I want. But if you take their pre-approval letter, your survey, hopefully you have a survey or some kind of form where you're getting their ideal home, and then also giving them the financial well-being tool where they can sit down and look at answer these questions about their money themselves, then I think it'll form a holistic approach and a more reasonable, less emotional approach to them buying a home. So, and it'll help keep them on task too. So,
yes.
So they're not sending you, they're pre-approved for $250,000, but they're sending you $300,000 houses when you've already said, okay, I'm comfortable with $265 or whatever.
Right. And it also shows you how you think about your finances in relation to other people. And so it kind of made me feel good to know that, hey, this is where I am. And I'm having similar feelings about my money and my monetary situation as other people, and the people that I hoped that I would be a part of. So, some of us, we don't feel like we're in the middle class, but Numbers say we are.
And the numbers don't lie. We know that the numbers don't lie. Follow the numbers. Follow the numbers.
So,
Always.
yes. So like I said, we have a hodgepodge. So I'm just going to go down the list here. I wanted to point out that if you've been paying attention to the Memphis Business Journal at all, I get it every day. We do have, they have announced what their plans are for the 100 North Main building. For those guys, those of you who may not know where this building is, it's on Main Street, but it's
former City Hall.
Yes, it's a former City Hall, and it's for a long time been one of the tallest buildings in our city. I think it's 36 stories or something like that. But anyway, they're going to turn that big building into a Marriott branded property. So it may not be an actual Marriott, it may be a Fairfield Inn or something like that, but it's going to be a Marriott branded property. And the reason that's important is because I know we have some general contractors here. We have people that do all types of work in terms of that, development. And so they are actually seeking subcontractors to work on the core and outside shell work of the tower. Jeff Campbell, who is the general contractor in charge of the entire project, is asking people to reach out to him because he's actually from Cleveland, Ohio, and not from this area. So he's hoping that by placing this ad, or this article, he's able to attract some local contractors that can help him to get this project off the ground. So if you're a contractor or a developer here in our midst and you're looking for an opportunity, this is definitely one that you can take advantage of. Investors are also making a bit of a comeback in our housing markets. Their purchase percentage or percentage of properties that they've been purchasing, this is national, grew about a half of a percent in the first quarter of this year over last year. And right now, those investors that are listing properties for sale that they bought in the last year are earning about 55.2% more than what they paid for the property. So what that says to me is, there is still opportunity out here. And I wanted to say this. I watch on YouTube. I'm a big watcher of YouTube, and our local government, the city government, holds these hearings that they put on YouTube free every month. One of them is from the Historical Preservation Society, and they have all these properties where these investors and different people, developers, whatever, have come in and they have purchased these properties in some of our historical neighborhoods. They have submitted, plans and things for those properties to be renovated and rehabbed. However, they have to adhere to to the historical. They have to keep certain things intact with the properties because they are historic properties in historic areas. And you would be surprised at the number of people who cut corners and who take shortcuts that once our city officials go back or send code enforcement, whoever they send to check on this work, that they realize that people have done the wrong things. And what they do is they placard these properties so that people can't use them until those things have been corrected. So today I watched for about an hour. I saw them put up maybe, 4 or 5 people, and they still had a list of people to go when we turned off for this episode. So that, and they also have other things as it relates to properties on there, like,
it's the planning.
The planning commission. So go out to YouTube and search for the Memphis City Planning Commission's channel, and you can see what our city is doing real time, as it relates to these properties and how they are, how they're managing them being sold, how they are managing them being brought back to our markets. A lot of the investors and people who do these rehabs are on there complaining, oh, it cost me $25,000. It cost me this. I lost that amount. But if you're not following the rules, then it should cost you.
Right.
So I just think it's something really interesting, and it is a way for you to learn about the process of how they manage those properties that are on the historic register in our market, and how they go about rectifying any mishaps that go along with that. Now I know everybody heard about Graceland. Hilarious, that's all I can say.
So
a dead woman signs up for a loan. That was hilarious, that whole situation.
Yeah.
Totally hilarious, totally uncalled for, but there's a lesson in it.
Yes.
There was no deed of trust. There was no deed. There is no recorded deed for who owns Graceland.
Right.
So that made it easy for someone to just go say, hey, we're going to file this lien, and we're going to now what I think maybe someone from out of town did that, because
of course.
There's no way nobody local had the gall, I would hope,
to do that,
to go and do that. Now the judge has advised Riley Keough, which is the person who is actually the beneficiary, to go and sue,
right?
Press charges against these people.
Yeah.
And so I hope that she does that. But that's just Sherlandra Ford, which was our Register of Deeds a few years ago. She put in a tool that's we can no longer use it.
And that's what I was just about to talk about, the registering your property for fraudulent deeds.
Mm-hmm.
As of when? Because
just like a few weeks ago, I saw an article that said that they're no longer allowing people to be added to it.
Okay, because it's been.
But now, if you've added your property already, yes, you will still get the updates, but you can't.
So essentially, you as a property owner, you can go to the Register of Deeds website, submit your email address, phone number, and register your property. Anytime there's any activity concerning your property, you'll be alerted to that, because so many people in our area have had their property stolen, basically, because people filing fraudulent quitclaim deeds. And while we're talking, I'm gonna go onto the website and see.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that. And yes, we're just gonna check real quick to make sure that that's still a viable option. And that's for Tennessee, for you guys to be able to, track and monitor if anything is happening funky with your China title to your properties, or I put my mom on it. People that I knew that could be vulnerable to such things, and that are not going to be checking, the internet and stuff to see if someone has made them an attempt to, claim a property that is should be willed to me. Like when,
right?
You know what I mean?
Okay, it is still
okay.
Active.
Good.
It is still active. So just go to register.shelby.tn.us. You can do this for yourself. You can also do this for your clients. Once they close, give this a part of your closing gift that you give to them, or just have it, handy for them. So once the deed is transferred into their name, encourage them to register for the fraud alert, so that because that's another scam that we talked about with the title company, with quitclaim fraud. So because scammers be scamming.
With quality title, yeah.
Scammers be scamming.
And they have lots of ways to get you. So
exactly. So
if you can do that, put your property and everybody, your clients, your family, especially if they're elderly, add their addresses to that tool, so that if anything pops up, if there's any change in their the condition of the way their title is reading or whatever, that they will have an alert and you can stop it, because after so long, it gets so hard to undo all this stuff that these people do when it comes to that.
Right.
I also wanted to point out that there is 400 acres of land near the Ford Blue Oval City that's currently being used for farming that won't be able to be used for farming in the future because it's going to be so close to where I guess they have the land designated for the waste runoff of whatever. So we are going to be losing. And they're saying, "Oh, we need to find somebody that can develop this land for profit." Well, for me, I want to eat, so I find it disheartening that we will be losing, those food resources for some waste runoff. But anyway, there are people who own these 400 acres that need to figure out something to do with it. They were hoping that the Ford Blue Oval would buy the land, but they have decided they don't need it. So for those of you who are living out there near Ford Blue Oval, there is 400 acres of land that needs to be sold. Somebody go figure out how to sell it. Yes, here's something also that's a little scary, which is our Memphis Area Legal Services, which is an organization that I really have been happy that we've had because it's helped so many of my customers when they have faced issues with housing discrimination and landlord tenant issues and things of that nature. Typically, Memphis people can go there and get this service, legal service, especially as it relates to civil cases. But for me, it's been a lifesaver, like I said, for people who have housing situations for free.
And they offer a clinic once a month at the Benjamin Hooks Library.
Once a month. Yes, they do, for free legal service. And one of the things that it's really kind of shocking, they are losing about 80% of their funding to a free legal service in Jackson, Tennessee. And one of the reasons that they're losing the service is because they are having trouble getting certain things that they need done. So like they're not closing the same number of cases that they were for people in terms of just overall, not just housing. And I don't know if that's because people are not using the service like they need to or whatever, but there's a big chunk of resources that they're losing. So we can expect them not to be open as often as they were, and they may not be able to provide that service at the Benjamin Hooks Library anymore. We just don't know what that means. But I know personally a bunch of people who use Memphis Area Legal Services to take advantage of the hardest hit fund when the crash of '08 happened. A lot of people got their mortgages covered, and they were able to keep their homes because of Memphis Area Legal Services. Now, you can donate to Memphis Area Legal Services. I'll probably do that. But we also want to make sure that we're telling people about the service so that we can, continue to show at a national level that we have a need for this kind of service, and maybe they can get their funding back.
And I'm wondering what if the court system itself has any impact on them not being able to move the cases to completion.
That I don't know, but that is a good question. Hopefully I know a lawyer that worked there. Maybe I can reach out to them and hopefully they could give me some information and we can give an update. But please, if you haven't, figured out or don't know anything about them, go to their website and look them up, MALS.org. Yes. And check it out. And then the last thing I wanted to tell you guys about is an organization that I just stumbled across, but I think is good. And it is the Property Owners Alliance. This is a national organization of homeowners that pair with real estate professionals such as us and government entities to help preserve neighborhoods, to help preserve subdivisions, to bring the right type of commerce and business to a neighborhood, but really to help to curb the displacement of people because of industry. Now, we all need industry. We definitely need commerce. We need service in our communities, but we don't need it to be driving us away.
Right, it's from the community. And I think that's important too, when you have communities where once upon a time there was a homeowners association, and for whatever reason they don't have that anymore. That organization that you just mentioned, I think that would be helpful for people to join to restart the homeowners association. And that that builds community for people.
Mm-hmm.
And when people feel like they're included in the community, of course, it's going to increase the pride and reduce the blight that we see. And I can't go into the gentrification part, but that's inevitable,
Right.
Unfortunately.
Or
fortunately, depending on
how you look at it. Yeah. Right.
But I think that the homeowners association and the community homeowners property owners alliance, I think those are two put the unity back in community for property owners.
They are two good organizations that could do that. And so I encourage you to go and check it out. It is free to join it. You can join it as, like I said, a homeowner, a real estate professional, or government entity. They have a lot of great information. They have a lot of materials that we can share as real estate professionals with our clients. They have statistics and things of that nature that you can look at. And so I really encourage you guys to do that. I also encourage you guys to really start getting out here and learning about your communities. When we look at, the markets and everything, if you're looking at this data and you're paying attention to it the right way, then it can help you with listings and all different sorts of things, like all different aspects of your real estate business. And, for example, I was just telling Shanita here earlier that I've gotten several calls from agents this week and last week, actually, who have these properties, that they have listed that are over $500,000. That brings me to the last thing that I want to talk about, which is our MSA statistics for the last 30 days or whatever. So Memphis metro areas, that's Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas. Home sellers are on average 49 years old, and they are earning an income of $69,819. These are home sellers. So these are people we're slowly sliding over to baby boomerism. If you're 49, I mean, you're probably Gen X, like me, but I'm not a baby boomer, I'm Gen X. But the baby boomers are, I think, the people who probably make up this number. Right. And you look at the amount of that they're earning in income in terms compared to what the home buyers are making, there is a difference. So it makes me feel like I could infer that these are the baby boomers who are looking to retire. They are not working as much and earning as much income. Needless to say, the person earning $69,819 is not going to be able to buy $1 million house.
Right.
That's just not going to happen, especially if that's the only income that they have. And then home buyers in the Memphis metro area are on average 42. So those are people that we're creeping into the millennials. Those are like the Gen Xers, that's us, but just creeping over to the millennials, and they are making about $90,840 in income. They still cannot buy a $500,000 house. In fact, in Memphis, based on the average home price, yes. I think it was 234, 235. That's the average home price. Shanita's going to confirm that for us, but this is where most people are at in terms of the price range that they're looking at. So when you're looking at the MSA and these statistics, it's actually telling you point blank where your buyer is. So when you guys go out and get these $500,000, $1 million listings, you have to prepare your client for understanding that property is probably, in this particular, the current environment that we're in, it's not going to sell in 2 weeks. It's not going to sell in 30 days. It's probably going to be between 60 and 90 days for that house to sell. And unless we're in a super, super hot market, that's just going to be the consensus. That's just going to be what it is. So if that's your niche, then you know this already. But if that's not your niche, and if you're one of those agents that's like, hey, I need to get $1 million listing, I need to have a $500,000 listing, you need to know that you're gonna have to work. In order to sell that listing, you are going to have to work it. You are not just going to be able to put it in the MLS because people see it because it feeds to Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia, Redfin. It feeds to all of those places. Buyers see it. They are skipping it over because they can't afford it.
Right. And I think just looking at last month's, and I'm gonna make a different point. Last month's median sold price was $140,000. That's just in the Memphis area. That's not including
Mississippi.
Yeah, it's not including Mississippi, North Mississippi, or Arkansas. And it's not including Germantown, Carterville, and Bartlett. So just in the Memphis area,
the city proper.
The city is 140. And then the estimated values are around 207. But the point I wanted to make as far as the $500,000 listings in the city, we have to, because we all know that sometimes home sellers, they're not just looking at the value of the property, they're looking at how much time they've been there, all of the emotional things, and that's driving their price or the things that they need to put into the property. So I think it's important for us to know the data so we can show them the data and say, hey, this is what the numbers say. This is what's going. I know this is what you want, but the numbers don't match, and we gotta work something out.
Right.
Because even looking at the major corporations that we have here that employ the majority of people, I can name a few of them, but the people that work at those companies, right? They already have a place to live, and there's not a
Carrier and
FedEx,
Smith and Nephew. Those are just some of the top companies that we actually saw, because we actually researched this data, y'all. We're not just pulling it out of nowhere.
Yeah, and there are not that many new jobs coming in.
No,
and when the jobs do come,
as a matter of fact, the job outlook is worse. It's worse for us right now than it was this time last year.
Because there's no
new industry coming. Not in Memphis City proper.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, they are expecting, home buyers are expecting, and I want to say I saw this on CFPB too, maybe. I'm not sure. I have to go back because I read so much stuff, but the home buyers right now are expecting an increase in interest rates. They expect that by this time in 2025, they will be looking at 9% interest rate. So they are like, we don't want to
wait.
Yeah, we don't want to wait, but they don't have the resources yet to move to their $500,000 house. And because it says leading up to the spring home buying season, new sales for the month of February went up from January of this year, but they were down from this time a year ago, and that's been consistent. So we have been doing better in the last quarter. I think we did better this last quarter in terms of having the number of properties on the market and the pricing, but pricing is dropping. And our season is a little bit slower. It's markedly slower right now than it has been in the past. And all of these things play a factor in it. And we're seeing an uptick in the amount of people that are defaulting.
Yes, that was surprising for me when when we were talking to the lender, and just in the 30-day defaults.
It's significant. It's a significant jump.
Just 30 days. So they bought their house.
And they're late already.
Right. And that is crazy.
It's significant.
That is crazy.
Yes.
Over 50%.
Over, like well over. It was well over.
So that makes me think about something that I read recently about people buying houses with friends or family members, right? So
This is interesting. I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and finish. I'm going to tell them this.
But this isn't nothing new, right? Where you have maybe siblings purchase a property together.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one person can afford 200,000, the other person can afford 100,000 or 200,000, and together they can afford that 500,000. So that may be something that people may be open to just become a home owner. But that's a different conversation for a different day. But there is an increase in people buying properties with friends. I did read that recently.
Yeah, and then friends aren't friends, and then one leaves. One of our agents is dealing with a situation like that now, where some people were married. They were, I'm not going to mention the agent, but I'll mention the situation. The couple, it was the same-sex couple. Mm-hmm. They were married, and now they don't want to be married, and one of them left.
So now you're stuck with the mortgage.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the one that's stuck with the mortgage, or that's actually paying the mortgage, is the one that left.
Oh, wow.
The one that's acting crazy is the one that's living there. So make sense. Yeah. I did just want to point out that the highest delinquency rate so far is for VA. And they have lots of resources to help the VA. We were just reading that, like, if they're in service, if they're deployed or things like that, there are so many things that they can do. The Service Members Civil Relief Act provides legal and financial protections to those who have answered the nation's call to serve. The law was created to provide extra protections for service members in the event that legal or financial transactions adversely affect their rights during military or uniformed service. These protections enable service members to devote their entire energy to the defense of the needs of the nation instead of them having to worry about if their mortgage is in default. One of the things that they do is they give them a fixed interest rate. I think it's 6%. It's a fixed interest rate. So if they're deployed and in service somewhere, the most that they should be under this act charged is a 6%. Right. And so there have actually been, since the inception of the CFPB, 400,000 complaints from veterans who have not been able to use this benefit because people in the real estate industry and other industries, not just real estate, because it's good for credit cards, car loans, all of that. But they are complaining because we don't know enough about their programs to be able to inform them that this is an option for them. So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that it was an option. We don't have anybody, in trouble or anything like that with this, but just know that if you have a service client, a client that is active in the military, there are certain protections and things that they can take advantage of just because they are fighting to protect us that can help them financially and also help them to keep their homes.
And it applies, and there's a part of the PACT Act. It also covers veterans as well. So there are resources, not just for active service members, but for veterans as well. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, what I've experienced, just because I am a veteran and working with veterans and meeting veterans and talking to veterans, is a vast majority, it's crazy to me that a vast majority of veterans have not even applied for their benefits. Mm-hmm. They've heard something about it, but they have not applied for their benefits. So if you know somebody, encourage them to
go and do their research and get what's owed to them.
Yes, because once even if they have a VA loan, they may not have the other disability benefits or the medical benefits, because once they sign up for those other benefits, then the other resources become available.
And their spouses are entitled to certain things as well. And also, I know my little brother, the rest of us siblings we were too old before anybody said anything to my parents. But my little brother, the youngest one, was actually able to use an education benefit from my dad. My dad was a Marine. So he was actually able to use the education benefit to go to post-secondary school.
Yeah,
So there's lots of things that our veterans and our service people can get, and I think we are doing them a disservice if we are not checking to make sure that they have all the tools accessible, or that they at least have information about it in their real estate transaction. So make sure that you guys are doing that. And then I have one final thing, unless Shanita has something.
No, just talking about the veterans, because this is Military Appreciation Month.
There you go.
Monday is Memorial Day, and it bothers me when I see this. So I want to make this clear, and I want people to understand what Memorial Day
is for
means.
The veterans that have fallen.
Yes, Memorial Day is not for
barbecue.
It's not for veterans that are still alive.
It's for the ones that are fallen.
It's not for active duty. So if you know a veteran, please don't say Happy Memorial Day to them. Don't do that.
Yes, because it's for the ones that have fallen.
Don't do that. Don't.
And Labor Day is for the workers.
Labor Day,
and that's not until September. So a lot of people.
Day is in October, but Memorial Day is for
veterans, for the fallen.
It's for service members who have died in action. So
right.
Please remember that.
Yes.
Please remember.
And remember the fallen soldier.
Yes.
It is just not just, I know a lot of people don't realize what, I only know that because, they don't teach you what Memorial Day is when you go to school, but my dad was a veteran, so I totally understood it. And he was one of them people too, like, we would have barbecue and stuff, but he would not participate. Right. Because it was a sad occasion for him.
Yes, especially if you're somebody that served, or you know somebody that served. And as you know, I did 2 tours in Iraq, so of course we lost people.
Yeah.
And so that's what
it's Memorial a day of remembrance.
Yeah, it's a day of remembrance, not Happy Memorial Day, because
it don't offer the veteran the coleslaw with the
don't do that, y'all.
It's like Cinco de Mayo almost.
Don't do it, y'all.
Only certain people like Cinco de Mayo, but the ones
that no. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So that's that. And so I also want to point out that starting June 1st, that's the first day of National Home Ownership or Fair Housing.
Home ownership.
Fair housing is in April. Home Ownership Month, National Home Ownership Month. And Shanita and I, for those of you who have been in my office, you know that I paint when I'm at home. That's the best way for me to say it. So I got asked to be a part of an art exhibit and to bring a piece of art that reflected the history or the future of home ownership, like what that means to me. And so we are going to be we call it a Let the Church Say Amen event. It's going to be at Shady Grove
Missionary Baptist Church,
1823 Kansas. It's going to be June 1st, and I think it's from
the art exhibit starts at 12.
Mm-hmm.
And after the art exhibit, the panel discussions discussing homeownership and all of the things starts at 1:30.
Okay.
So the art exhibit is a local artist, young and seasoned. Mm-hmm. The question that was posed to the artist is, what to the African American community is the American dream? Yep. The American dream being homeownership. So we'll have painters, singers, spoken word, all kinds of art. However people decide to answer that question in art, whatever the art form is. So that exhibit is from 12 to 1:30, or probably 12 to 1. From 12 to 1, and then from 1 to 1:30 we have refreshments, and then 1:30 the panel discussion with our ambassadors and a couple other people.
So I want you guys to come out, because Best is all up in this thing. Yes. We're going to have a table there as a sponsor.
Yes.
Our very own Stephanie Anderson is going to be manning that table as a representative of Best. She'll have some wonderful information there about our company and ways that she can help serve those buyers and sellers. Our very own Lisa Thomas, who is the second vice president of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers Memphis chapter, is on the panel. She will be discussing things that we can do to improve home ownership in our communities with Camille Davis, who is the Young Realtors Division president. We'll have our ambassadors there. Pastor Eric Wilkerson. We'll have Pastor Ricky Floyd. If you're not from Memphis, if you don't know who Ricky Floyd is, Pastor Ricky Floyd, who does, these two guys have done some awesome, phenomenal things. Ricky Floyd is a force to be reckoned with in terms of housing and what he's doing to help the community around the church that he's a pastor of. And that was the mission for Let the Church Say Amen. It is a way for us to engage the clergy and their followers in what it means to be invested in the communities where their churches are in terms of home ownership. Yeah. And we'll also have Stephen
Miller, Pastor Stephen Miller,
who is a farmer and has a whole nother, he will blow your mind.
Yes, so he's talking about generational wealth through
agriculture
and farming. And we have one of our other guests is Memphis Fair Housing Council Executive Director, which is a new organization to Memphis. The Executive Director, Shanice Anthony. So she's going to be talking about that organization. So it's
jam-packed with a lot of great stuff.
Different ways to increase homeownership and to handle the problem that we have in Memphis. One of the issues that we have in Memphis related to blighted properties, abandoned properties, unused land that we have
that we can turn into opportunities. So be sure to come out and join us for that. And I am always so proud of our best agents when they are out in the community doing good work. I am so excited to show up for that. Now I might not show up for the party where it's some drinking because I don't do that. I'm not gonna come to that. But if there's something that we're doing that can help the community, that will have a positive impact on our local population, I'm all there for that to show up for it. And so I hope that you guys are too. Come out and support us. Shanita is our first vice president of the Women's Council of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, Memphis chapter. If you see any commercials, any flyers, any correspondence that goes out, it comes from Shanita. So that's what I'm telling you guys. We have a stronghold, if you will, here at Best with those organizations, and we help keep them moving. So the best way for us to continue that work is to have your support.
Absolutely. We need all hands on deck.
Even our current president, well, I was the president last year of Women's Council, but the president this year of Women's Council is also a Best alumni.
Yes.
So, like I said, we all up in that thing.
Yes.
So we hope you guys will come out and support that. I want to wish you guys a happy Memorial Day. Those of you that are not veterans, don't say Happy Memorial Day to a veteran.
It's a touchy subject. Some people, because it's a touchy subject. That's all I'm gonna say, because you never really know how to respond when somebody, like, I never really know how to respond when somebody says thank you for your service. Like I don't know how to respond to that, because I'm like, I don't know how to say thank you. Like, what am I saying?
My cousin Corey always says, I was over there, but I didn't do nothing. He was a cook. So I mean, I kind of get that, but
it's just a
thing. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yes.
Enjoy your weekend.
Enjoy your weekend, and I do want everyone to know that our offices will be closed on Monday, Memorial Day. So don't come up here thinking you're gonna find somebody, because you won't. And one other thing I want to say too is that we really encourage you guys to support our company store. If you have not been to our company store, it is located in the Memphis office. We have done so many things to get the store open. We put products in there that our agents said that they wanted. And so, because we've invested in it, we want to make sure that we're giving you guys first dibs at the things that we have in there. We are thinking about expanding it and selling some of the products to other real estate agents in our community, because some of the stuff isn't Best branded material. But if we have invested the monies to provide this thing for agents, if our agents can't take advantage of it or don't want to, then we need to do what we need to do to keep it to keep it even. We can't be losing
Right.
because we don't have participation. So I hope that you guys will come in and check that out. And I'm telling you now, I'm giving you a forewarning because I don't want you to see one of these unique shirts on one of your competitors and get mad at us. But I'm telling you, that's where we're going next if we don't get more participation from our agents. So hopefully you'll do that. And with that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for listening. This definitely went longer than we normally should, but I just wanted to get all of that stuff out there for you guys to marinate on it over this long weekend. And if you have anything that you want us to talk about or learn about or research for you, then please reach out to us. You can send an email, you can send a text, and we will do our very best to get it on.
All right.
All
Happy
right.
weekend.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye now.